Yeah, it's on the, it's on
Then
the,
are the draft audit, rather?
Yep.
Yep.
So how do I put that on there? Or just go with the flow?
Connie can add it.
Yep, I'll add it.
Maybe if I can be so bold, maybe in between plant status and present budget. Makes sense to go over the financials before we do the budget.
Okay, I'll put it in there. Sure.
Okay, I get an approval for the agenda. Irv,
Tim or Brent?
do I need a seconder? Yeah, okay.
Yep, Brent, yeah.
Any declaration of pecuniary interest? No? Okay. Can I get an approval of the meeting minutes for February 18th, 2020? Yeah. And?
Brent, okay.
By Brent?
Just, okay, it should be one change to that to the minutes there, guys. Connie, on
Yeah.
the minutes, you have Killaloo in there, and it should be Traymore Dam, not Killaloo Dam.
Oh,
missed
okay.
In the minutes,
Oh, okay.
just change that to Traymore.
Traymore, got you. Okay, yep.
Okay. So the February and March 2020 sales and production report.
Okay, you guys have got, I sent the reports to you for
Yep.
previous 2 months. As you can see, we're on, as far as budget goes, on both months, we've been ahead of, well, in February, we were right on our budget amount. In March, we were up probably about 15% above our budget. What's going on here? Did I get kicked out? Sorry, I just thought I got kicked out. Okay. So in March, we were about 15% above. So far in this month, we're in just about halfway through the month. We're going to be in the excess of what we're budgeted this month. We're going to be in the same neighborhood, I would say, for the total for the month, around 50,000. So,
That's good news.
any questions on that, guys? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Jack, just reviewing the draft financials, 2019, we certainly took a hit. So this sounds like we're in the uptake, and I'm very pleased.
Yeah, compared to the first 3 months of this year, we're around 117,000. The first 3 months of last year, we were around 90,000. The reason for that is because I couldn't run the units on, they had to be restricted on how they're being operated due to the damage of them.
Okay. So
No
do you want to?
questions?
So now, Jen, you said you wanted to go in between something between presenting the budget and this draft budget?
No, I was just gonna say if Jack wants to do plant status, then we could talk about the draft financials after that, and then move into budget presentation.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, currently right now on plat status, we have 3 units fully operational, operating full. The gate is currently set at around 6 feet off bottom. The issue that I had with the gate has been resolved. It is now working as the way it should. We have started to, as of probably, I would say as of yesterday and this morning, I have started to see a little bit of reduction. So that would verify with what Sean is saying, that the lake has crested. And so as it continues to drop, as I get a chance to move the gate down, we will see our production increase because there'll be less draw out of the units. I don't know if you guys remembered, I mentioned to you before, because of the design with the gate being open, it takes water out of the plant and starts to starve the units. So as that water level comes down, so that I can close the gate and put all the water through the turbines, we will see our increase. Right now, the units, when I first refreshed them a couple times a day, the units will operate at 630 kilowatts combined. They drop down to around 600 after a couple hours because of the vacuum caused. Once the gate is closed and we can get fully operation with minimum spillage over the top of the logs, at that time, with I saw earlier in the year, we were able to go up to 690 kilowatts, which is numbers we've never seen before out of that plant that I have history of. So it's the plant was designed to operate at 750, and previous to some of the modifications and stuff that we had done, I couldn't get it above 650. But like I said, I saw figures earlier at 690. So I'm hoping the middle of next month we'll be running up around that 670, 690 range, which would give us good revenue. Any questions?
Great news. So it seems that these modifications and repairs are paying off.
Yeah, they definitely are. It seems like all these modifications and repairs, that what we've been trying to do is with minimum investment, trying to get the best out of the plant the way it is, because units, just because of the reduction in the intakes, that all 3 intakes aren't the same size. Some of the units get starved. And then with that 4.5 drop, the water actually flows back out of the plant. And this time when the water is coming across, comes down and out the gate. So, but we're making the best of that situation.
Besides the mechanical upgrades we had to do, I imagine cleaning of the tail race also has helped.
Yes, that definitely has. We're removing the tail. I can see the 1 unit for sure definitely has made improvement in. It's increased the production of that 1 unit probably close to, I would say, between 10 and 15% right now from just the early days. So we'll see what happens when there's less water going through, and we'll see the real effect that it has made to that unit operation. Any other questions?
So if we want to go over these financials, would it be prudent to go into a closed session to discuss them? I'm still looking to you, Annette, for your opinion on this. You're muted.
You're muted.
You're muted.
I forgot I did that. There was somebody walking around. I didn't want you to hear that. So the generation meeting is not really a public meeting. Like, we don't put notice out. We don't, you know what I mean?
Okay.
It's a private meeting, and it's, yes, I'm recording it, but it's not live. It's not, there's no reason unless we received a, well, it's not even a municipal, like.
I know.
Yeah,
It's a really gray area.
If somebody asked for a copy of the meeting, you know, I don't know who it was recorded, but if somebody asked for a copy of it because they felt they needed it, we could always edit it and say, well, this part is not shared with you because of this. But there's no, like, we don't have to make this meeting public. So,
Well, perhaps we should just stop recording for the interim. And because I mean, they're draft financials,
sure.
not finalized.
Okay.
I don't know, guys, your thoughts?
As you say, it's a kind of a strange situation. We're a standalone corporation within a corporation.
Mhm.
We're a standalone corporation, but we're not a public body. We don't have shareholders.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason that we would have to be ordered to share this this video with anybody, but you're right. Once you record something, if something, I don't know who would have, what it would mean to anybody for us to discuss something draft, why someone would need that, but I can absolutely pause the recording and then restart it if you prefer.
I would be more comfortable with that just while we're talking about, because if they're draft financials.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, just,
Welcome back, Jack.
Oh, shh.
Hello.
So, according to the auditor's recommendations, this is what we were just kind of going over. They would like to see, and we all agreed upon, a detailed logbook of your daily events, like so many hours. So the reason is, if there's an issue with the plant where we can find something efficient as a board or something coming down the line, whereas we would like a detailed log of how many hours spent actually at the dam, how many hours or what your time is, working remotely, and what it entails, like through your daily event, for your timesheets is what we're after, really. And also, if we can look into having some sort of a mutual agreement if there's another facility in the area, whether it be Douglas or somebody with Sean, where if you or your family or somebody has a problem, like myself, I had a funeral, and I know if I couldn't attend our last meeting, for instance. If something happens with yourself, that someone could kind of look after the dam for you, or vice versa. If they went down, if we can kind of look into a neighboring facility to maybe try and get that done. Is there anybody out there that's
They're all private.
Okay.
They're just a little comment on that. Like Sean he has people on staff. The Douglas Dam is a privately owned dam. I know they have two people on staff right now there. So I don't know what you're looking for or how you would even do that, because no matter what, even if you're taking over a dam, you're going to have some learning experience. It's not like, sure, I could go into Douglas and I could pick it up if something happened to them, but I wouldn't run it the same way they're running, and I wouldn't expect anybody to come in and be able to operate the dam I have in Eganville without some training on it. So I really don't understand what you guys are getting at here.
Go ahead, Jen.
Thank you. So Jack, I was not aware that Brandon can run the technology at that dam. The challenge is if Brandon goes and gets a great job somewhere else, or God forbid you guys have a family emergency, the thinking was just that, so let's pretend, God forbid, Daryl, Dave, and Cody all get the flu. We have a mutual agreement with Pembroke that allows them to come in and run our water and sewer department. So I'm not even sure that you would need to go to another generation corporation, but even I know that at one point Daryl was helping out, and then Dave Loader. Is Dave Loader still up on the technology, or have you made some significant upgrades that just in case something happened, that you would have backup at a moment's notice?
Dave Loader probably could struggle his way through with a little bit of tweaking here and there. There's been some changes since Dave's been involved,
Yeah,
some
but
enhancements.
that's something,
But like, just listen, even a year and a half ago or two, it would be 2 years in January when my dad passed away. I still managed the dam during that whole time, even the funeral and everything else.
yeah, but you shouldn't have had to.
Yeah, but shouldn't have had to, whatever. It's just, that's just the way it was done, right? So I was able to manage it and monitor it. And I have it detailed now that in reality, the majority of the work can be done remotely. And that's what I've been striving for, like most dams in the area. That's the biggest issue to doing it remotely now would be the implementation of the cameras. Because that's the biggest issue. When I had a problem with the gate this year, I had to go down to make sure because the gate wasn't reading properly. It wasn't verifying. And how I knew it wasn't reading properly, because it wasn't verifying what it was saying compared to what the water was going through. And that's the whole purpose of making these dams there, so they can be operated remotely. They're not really designed to be somebody caretaking them 24/7 like they used to be. You know?
And
You
just,
have terms and everything put in place for that reason. But anyways.
so, and this is what I'm getting at, Jack. Is there anybody, shall you go down, capable of running that dam to almost, I'm not going to say they're going to run it as good as you, but is there somebody that can run it with the things that you have done right now, able to step in, say Jack goes down with COVID-19 for some reason? Is there somebody that can look after that place the way you can right now?
Currently, right now, Brandon would have the capability of stepping in and running the dam.
Okay.
He's, you know, he is sure there's a few things he has to learn yet, but as far as daily operation, making it work, keeping it within the limits, stuff like that, he's well aware of most of that stuff and what software changes he has to do. Like when he operates it on the weekend, he takes over and I don't interface unless there's something like we have to go down and do some maintenance that especially working with high voltage, I prefer two people being there. It's a safety issue. When we're changing power caps and stuff like that, sure, you turn it all off and you disable it, but though these caps are, you know, 7-8 inches in diameter and 18 to 20 inches long. So they can have some residual charge on them if you decharge them properly, right? So, but yeah, Brandon would have he has no issues running it. Like I said, he runs it every other weekend. So.
Yeah, and going back to the first point, Jack, it was the auditor's recommendation that we do a detailed, detailed of hours and stuff. So this.
Well, I don't know how do you want that detail? Like when I'm monitoring it overnight, I have alarm set every time it wakes me up, and I adjust the gate. So you want.
So when you hand in your timesheets, and it's fairly simple, you just have to say, you know, spent this many hours on this date, either by remote on your phone or an hour doing maintenance on the dam or an hour cleaning gates or 2 hours pulling this apart or whatever. Just a detailed breakdown of your daily routine.
I don't think that the auditors are looking for an essay. I think that we get this note on our financials, even for the municipality. So it's just a matter of giving them a little extra, a little something, something. And listen, again, I did not realize that I thought Brandon was just the muscle, but I'm pleased to know that he can run it. But if Dave Loader would be willing to learn the technology, or if you think that he could step in the case of an emergency, I think he's our man, especially because obviously RPG is a far bigger operation, and you might not want to be, I don't know how Sean would feel about it. And of course, as you said, Douglas is private. So yeah, no, I just think because of the technologies that you've put in, you've made it far less brawn, far more brain. And we certainly need to keep this asset going as you've been doing. And I couldn't agree with Tim more. I mean, nobody's going to run it the way you do, obviously, but we want to keep it going. And yeah, just honestly, all I can think of these days is, what if this person goes down? What if that person goes down? Like I was saying, when you were in the waiting room, like, I'm on deck to be warden. I don't want to be warden. If I wanted to be warden, I would have run for warden. So I think, I'm really cognizant right now of the tenuous situation we're in. And I understand that people are saying, we're kind of peaked and we're coming out of it. I'll believe it when I see it. And so this is more about protecting us than anything else.
Yeah,
In
like,
no way, shape, or form a comment on your performance, Jack.
I know, I understand that. The whole reason, and that's why when Brandon was hired, I believe Merv can correct me if I'm wrong though, but I believe there was 3 individuals with Brandon. The board did the interviews with these individuals. Brandon was picked because of, number one, his knowledge and his ability to come down and respond to emergency hours. And the whole purpose in having another guy on was that I was supposed to get time off. I was not supposed to be working 20. That was the whole purpose in bringing that extra individual on, was for they could pick it up on the weekend that I could walk away from it. And that's what Brandon has done.
Very important.
Okay?
No, and that's why I asked you the way I did there, Jack. You answered our questions the way we were pretty well asking, right? We do, and we're not doubting any capabilities of yourself or Brandon, and that's why I wanted to make sure, you hit on those points, and you did. But in these times right now, we have to make sure that we have to have reassurance too that you're confident in what's there too. Shall something happen? Every other department in the municipality outside of this, I believe, has some sort of backup, right? Where we even have the measures right now with Annette and Sandra separated right now, kind of deal, and Dave and Daryl. It's right across the board, and the dam is one of our biggest assets we have, and we have to make sure that everything is good on that end too. Go ahead there, Mark.
Jack, I think if I remember, and you probably agree with me, before we hired Brandon, we had Dave Loader fill in on weekends, but it was all overtime. It was costing us a fortune. It was a lot more cost effective to have someone. Now, in an emergency, it wouldn't really matter if you and Brandon went down, yeah. But that was one of the reasons we went to Brandon, because they were charging, it was costing a fortune. I see Connie nodding.
Yeah, and
This
also
makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But because they're in the same house, that's
Yeah.
concern. That's the only
Yeah.
concern.
yeah,
So
but yeah.
when you think about it, if the mayor gets COVID-19, you don't have a fire chief.
Yep.
So I just wanted to comment on what Merv was saying there. Yeah, the overtime, and the problem we had with Daryl, if there was an emergency and he was working, he'd have to do his water first anyways, right? So I ended up going to do the emergency at the dam by myself that was before we had the gate to lift remotely and had to drag the generator out to power, you know what I mean? So it was a good fit, but whenever there was a power outage, he'd have to run to the water first and then, you know what I mean? But anyway, and like Merv said, it was because he was getting paid on overtime. It was a lot more expensive to our labor costs.
Is there anyone else, Jack, that you could bring up to speed, or that you could recommend to bring up to speed, that would have any kind of knowledge, or
Well, like I said, Dave Loader is he'll fill in fine. Like he'll be like a third backup if required. So if need to be, I can always start looking around for other people if we need something. Like if Brandon does move out and head out west or wherever, or get a job up north, whatever it is, at that time, then we'll look at doing a replacement for him, right? And we'll put out feelers and get a replacement. That's just the way it goes, you know? Okay.
any other questions? Brent, Merv? No? Good. Now I have to get back to my agenda here.
Jack, I hope you realize that this isn't about the board not trusting you or Brandon, that this was an auditor's note and it's a COVID-19 concern, nothing else.
Yeah, it's gonna be, I don't know how, I'll just break it up when I get up 6, 7 times or whatever during the night to adjust the gate with alarms. It'll be so much for each time, whatever, you know. But
Just write down, got up 6 times.
yeah, you know, lifted the gate or whatever the heck I did, so.
Well, like I say, so many hours spent per day. Just
Yeah.
break it down in what you did. I don't think it's too far of a reach, right?
Nope. Okay, now we move. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, did we want to go ahead now? The next thing I did have on my agenda from Connie was the budget, right? So, want to move into that?
Well, I'm ready to. It's whatever you guys want to do.
Okay, so you want to go ahead there, Jack, with the budget?
Okay, what I've done with the budget is because we have gotten approval for our amendment drawdown in the fall, starting in September. That increased our proposed income to, if you look at the sheet I sent out to you guys, it's around $410,000
Mhm.
for the budgeted income compared to the last year, which was 375 because of the low water situation between September and October. So that's where we started with the 410 on the budget. The cash in hand was the cash at the start of the year, but the number I got from Connie. Going down through, that's the cost of the projects that we have that I would like to get done. Project number 2 is that's the one that's still the catwalk that has to be done around the sluice gate. So that has to be done. That's a health and safety issue that's still outstanding. The installation of the steel logs, we now have them there. So that number, that if you look on the sheet that Will provided us, the number he provided was to install the logs. Item number 6 was $28,000. I have added on additional $5,000 for the use of a crane to get to the 33. That 28, that's a number that realistically, in talking with Will, I think it's high. He agrees it's high. The biggest issue we're going to have, and I've talked about this before, is securing the top of the dam down so that we can put the logs in front so when we're jacking so it doesn't lift. I think what we're going to do is we're going to actually get a core drill and drill some rebar from the top of the support dam into the structures and then rebar that in and cement it in place prior to jacking the logs so that it'll give us something to jack against. Because currently right now at 8 logs down, it starts to lift the dam and we have 7 more logs to go. So every log down creates more water force, which pushes it up. So that's our plan on solving that. Project number 4, that's the sealing of, that'd be item number 5 on Will's list. That's the sealing of gain 1. That's what steel, since we never open up gain 1, the logs in there aren't the best, but since we don't move them, the proposal was how about just sliding some steel plates down, capping them off on the top of the log, and therefore we don't have to change those logs. It'd be like a cheaper fix and sealing up gain 1 totally because I'll never open it because with it being close to the powerhouse, it sort of defeats the whole purpose, right? So you'll never be opening that one. You want to open up farther away from the powerhouse to keep the water away from the tail raise area. Project number 5 going down is the heating of the gates or sluice gate heating. If you remember in our January meeting, I think it was January, maybe it was the December meeting, I brought you guys in a photo of what happened to the pump that was used to pump the fluid around because the fluid that we were using there, the RV fluid, the fluid we were using so it would be water safe, breaks down with heat and it gummed up all the pipes so that we couldn't, the elements were burning out. So instead of cleaning the pipes, I tried like flushing them because of the breakdown. It'd be cheaper just to replace all that piping on the back of the gate. Just tear it all off, put all new piping in, and put the proper fluid in that we got. And it's a fluid that Will's been looking into it, and it's the same type of fluid they use in larger dams that's qualified. It's a food grade, and it can take the heat and won't break down. So that's that 7,000. And then I guess we'll go back up to the project number 1. Project number 1 is basically putting in the tail raised gates on the back of the unit. The purpose of these gates, as we well know, gives us the ability to fix individual generators instead of waiting to low water and then inserting a bladder like we had to do last year. And this is what we talked about last year, putting in tail raised gates. And that breaks down in items that I got from Will is item number 1, 2, and 3. So all those 3 items, they add up to that price of 194. So I guess comments. I don't know what you guys think.
You're the expert.
Well, I think if we're going to do the tail raised gate, if we don't want to get ourselves in a predicament like that we had last time, we have to do the tail raised gates. Go ahead, Murph. I guess.
Yeah, well, there are some must-dos. First of all, the catwalk is a must-do for safety reasons. The metal logs have to be put in. What are the other? There's just some there's absolute must-dos. And if we have the money, I'd like to see the tail race gate put in or started at anyhow.
So, and the thing with the tail raised gates, they have to go in. Because of the early drawdown, they would have to be going in late July, early August, right? Because the proposed amendment is for Sean to start drawing down Round Lake after the long weekend in September. So we definitely need them to go ahead so that Will can go ahead and start making them.
Here's a quick question, Jack. We go ahead with that the way things are in kind of at a standstill with a lot of things going on. Is there a chance of us getting a permit now to do that with this COVID-19?
The permit for the MNRF, you mean?
Yeah, for the drawdown at the back.
That would be the hardest or the biggest issue to get, but that's something I could contact with them. The permit itself is really already made up. It's more or less a copy of what I had last year. The only difference would be is that instead of 5 days, I'd be requesting 3 weeks to have that blocked off.
Because right now, Jack, I mean, if everything stays status quo as it is, I can't even get a license sticker for my truck right now. It's like everything is shut. A lot of things are shut down, and that's why I'm asking, because a lot of our provincial services are basically at a standstill. So, you know, and that's the thing, we can't do it without a permit either. So that's something to keep in consideration of.
No, but I can try and get a hold of them and get a permit. But I guess the biggest controlling issue, if we don't allow and give time for Will to manufacture the gates, it's going to be a no-go for this year. Right?
Sure.
Because we need time to
Yeah,
start.
well, I realize you're concerned about COVID-19, but my God, I hope we're not locked down till the end of August or whatnot. The whole economy will be gone to hell in a handbasket.
It already is.
I know.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't either. I'd like to see everything back to normal tomorrow or this afternoon. That'd be awesome.
Or at
right?
least
I
by the
mean,
middle of May. Or at least by the middle of May.
middle of the night, I
Your
wouldn't
half
care.
loads will be off then.
The thing is, we don't know. That's the other thing, right? We don't. I mean, it could all come back online in a few weeks, and I hope that is the case. But one thing, like I say, Jack, if we can get, you know, just even a basic, you know, see if it's even obtainable at this point in time. That's the other question.
Well, I can follow up and see if that's attainable. Well, the thing is, even if it comes online in July or whatever, the permit is such that it's something I could probably do in 3 to 5 days, quite sure.
Oh,
It's the same permit that we had last year. It's basically just changing. It's just a matter of resubmitting it, changing the dates and changing the time frame. And because they already have pictures of what we did and what we did. So I think the more bigger issue here is either we give Will to go ahead to build it or we don't. And that's the concern. Even if if everything goes awry and we don't get it, even if he built the gates, I'm sure we could work out Will payment of them. And then we'd have them anyways, because the gates aren't going to change from this year to next year to whenever, right? And go ahead, Will.
I agree. Anybody else have any? Yeah, even, go ahead there, Jen.
I like the idea of keeping Will employed as well during crazy time.
Anything, Brent?
No, I was just gonna say if these are the projects that we need done, and no, I agree. I think the tail race gates, numero uno and stuff. But Jack, you said the 194 that includes the project number 2 and 3 on your budget.
Well, that's all part of the tail raise.
Yeah.
I don't, if you look in the list that I sent from Will,
Yeah.
attached that Connie did, so that'd be item 1, 2, and 3, because the cost of the gates would be 98. The cost of the catwalk is 44, and then the cost to install it all with the boom truck and everything installed, because this catwalk's going to come off of the concrete frame that's there, and then he has to fasten it to the building and come out that back door and around, right? So, and that's all those 3 items together. He broke them down. So
Yeah,
like,
no, definitely. I went through that. And then just on project number 4, you said you're just putting the steel. I remember you talking about before, you're just putting the steel slab in between the existing logs in there.
that's item number 6, or no, item number 5, sorry. Yeah, it'd be project number 4. Yeah, that's right on my budgets. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. So project 4, at what point do you think we'd have to take out the wooden logs that are in there if we're putting the metal in front of it? Because that'll seal that off. But is the pressure load on that getting pushed into the wooden logs?
Yeah, the steel would then be pushed tight against the log. So it'd be like putting a steel face in front of those logs. There's some logs that are in that dam now since, like the ones, the 15 that I'm taking out, they've probably been in there for over 30 years, right? Since
Yeah.
that thing we built. That dam was built, I think it was back in 70s or 80s, Merv, do you remember? When they drained the river in town?
I don't remember.
But I think that's when they
Other than Jack.
logs in, because they had the river drained. I remember it would have been around that time, because I remember going in on the school, seeing the river totally drained because they had drained it down to do work on the dam. But it would have been around that time frame. So those logs have been there for quite some time, and realistically, a lot of those logs are good. The problem with those logs the steel logs, is that we've had debris that's come right through them and jammed up and then tore the logs apart, right? So eventually over time they have to be replaced. And the cost of the steel logs are now to the fact where they're more cost effective and cheaper than the Douglas fir logs, right? So I've been talking to Douglas about it, and they're going to buy steel logs too, because it's just more cost effective.
Thank you. I just have some late breaking news from Sandra Barr, our deputy CAO, that it was 1990. Back to you, Tim.
Okay.
I've been watching too much news.
Oh, yeah. So, no, we all know, and we know the importance of the tail race gates, and the sooner we get it in, the sooner we get this thing on the go, and the sooner we start getting this thing paid for, the better it is, and get it behind us. But it's basically, like we've said before, it's the hood to our engine compartment, right? So it's definitely a necessity that has to go in, and like you say, whether the permit deal isn't an option in the summer or not, or whether it can't go ahead this year, if he can go ahead and start constructing it and getting it going, that'll be the quicker we get it ready to get in. Right? Go ahead there, Murph.
Just a quick question, Jack. With us paying the lower rate now on electricity, are we only getting the lower rate now that we generate, or do we get the higher rate in the daytime?
Well, I've got, if you look at the last statement that I got, that I sent you guys, that still had the higher rate, but that was up until March 1st. So I don't know when Mr. Ford changed that rate.
Okay, or if they're going to change it.
I won't know until the end of next month. I'm
Okay.
still trying to get more up-to-date, quicker access to it, but with everything else going on, I'm having some issues trying to get that coordinated and somebody to give me approval to see it like within a couple of days, right? But it looks like they're making these things later on anyways, because this statement was not available to us until almost the 17th or 18th this month. Normally it's available on the 13th. So as far as I know, it's still the same. We're still getting peak time, but I don't know what it's been. Like, what date was it? Do you guys remember when Dawn?
I know, Jack, for personal, my hydro bill was 24th. 24th of March, he changed it.
Okay.
So, but like I said, that's personal. So,
Yeah,
I'm
but
not,
as of until the 31st, they were still paying us peak rate.
yeah, so,
We'll have to wait and see till the next bill.
yeah.
Yeah,
And the Ontario Energy Board has now overruled that, right? We're back to peak times.
Mhm.
We are back now?
That's, yes.
Well, so then I guess we'll be getting paid peak then.
Well, that's not good.
It just happened on, the challenge, I think, was on Thursday,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. The other thing is, board, let's remember that Jack has still left off the coveted building down at the dam with his washroom.
It's not there.
Coming to you in 2030.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Do you actually get charged peak rates at your house, Jen?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Here. I just get charged because they can't pick it up with the cell because it's behind the hill there, so they don't pick it up. So mine's just based on consumption. I get two rates.
How's that possible? I don't even have cell phone service here.
Well,
Hey.
that's-
we all know Jack worked for a cell phone company before and he knows how to scramble the signal.
that little jammer sitting up there.
She's jamming Hydro One. Good on you, Jack.
Yeah.
Anything else here, guys?
Well,
No,
again,
you know what? When you were in the waiting room, Jack, I was saying, you know, we were talking about the draft financials. It was a bit of a bleak year, but I fully appreciate your budget this year. I think, as Brent said, you know, there are some priorities. The tail raise and the catwalk were number 1 and 2 for me. Well, catwalk number 1. So I actually appreciated this budget. I think it's solid.
thanks. That's good. Like I said, the only drawback with this is, as you guys seen, there's, because of these projects, there's going to be very little, well, there'll be funds to pay the bank loans, but BVT is going to be out in the cold, I think.
Well, you know what? It's the year to do it, right? We're generating more hydro. You've got some efficiencies going on, and these are necessary upgrades in my opinion.
Absolutely. Murph?
Jack,
Yeah, the other way to look at it, when we get this done, hopefully this will be the last year with expensive upgrades and whatnot. We get that done, we should be running, unless something really goes afritz, we should be running with minimal upgrades. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, and the other thing too, Merv, is once these gates and stuff are in place, it then gives us the flexibility that if for some unit goes down, it's basically a unit that can be up and turned around in a week instead of months. You know, you block it off and you're able to go in, fix it, and repair it and get it keep running. Whereas this other way, you're tied to certain times of the year when you can do your maintenance. Like even if you have a stick or something that comes through in the middle of the fachette and it starts banging, you can shut that unit down and drop the gates and get inside and fix it and have it back open the next day or two, whatever it takes.
And I'll always be optimistic. Hopefully 2021, we can do some serious down payment of loans.
Sounds good.
You had something there, Brent?
No, mine was exact same as MERS.
Okay, perfect.
We're in each other's heads now.
Oh, man, a few more minutes like that, we'll need one of us here. So
No, Tim is in his truck,
I'm in my truck.
where he does his best thinking.
Next thing on the agenda was the summer plant maintenance, but,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry, I didn't realize we were leaving budget. I just wanted to make sure that the board was aware of an additional section under the wage just for the benefits. It's a small expense. It's something that we provide to our employees at the township. So I didn't know if that was maybe it was a discussion before I even got here, but it was a discussion that Jack and I had, and so the quote is there. And like, obviously nobody had any questions about it because it didn't come up, but I also didn't want it to be sort of something that slipped through that later the board asks, where did that come from? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, and thanks for addressing that, Annette. This was something that we discussed very briefly at an EGC meeting. I think all of the board is aware that our employees have these benefits, and for some reason, two of our department heads, and I'm using Jack as one of those department heads, they didn't have these benefits, and I never understood. I didn't actually know, and then I realized from last year's financials that he doesn't have any benefits. I think that there's got to be fairness across the corporation. I get that we are a corporation inside a corporation, but at the same time, I'm all about fairness, and I didn't think that it was fair for our operator to not have that benefit.
I just want to be clear that it's the board's decision. If this is the generation corporation's benefits, it's being facilitated through the township, but it's not an employee of the township under the township. It's being incorporated through the board, but we're just facilitating that. So I just want to be clear as to how
Facilitating through Bonashir Valley up to the county of Renfrew.
Yes.
Let's
So
make it more complicated.
Okay, there you go.
Anything else on budget?
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Annette. Okay. Summer plant maintenance.
Okay. So what I'll do then, if the budget and everything's been approved and gone, I will notify Will so that he can start working on these projects that have to be put in place. I would suspect that he will be here the better part of, in talking with him, he'll be here probably 4 to 6 weeks between July and August. You'll have some symbol of a crew here working pretty well steady between removing the logs. The logs, we will probably not remove the logs. We'll do that the last thing. The reason why I'm saying that is when we're working on the units and have the shut down for those week and a half or 2 weeks, we're going to be passing water anyway, so there's no sense to have the logs all sealed up. We will get the logs on top and then do that after the units, the tail raised gates have been put in. You'll be working on doing the catwalk. I was going to send you guys pictures and I forgot to send them to you, but I will later and you can look at them. On the upper top of the gate, or the gate that sits on the dam, the sluice gate, there is two, the steel beam has actually cracked. What it looks like to me is there's water that's accumulated inside and the ice actually split the weld, and the weld is split probably on 2 places on the top beam, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 18 inches on more or less on close to the beam. We will be repairing that as well once we're doing the catwalk, but I'm also going to look at maybe actually putting some holes into the top of that beam. If it's not sealed properly on top, that water's getting in, you're gonna have to have a place for the water to drain out. So we're gonna actually cut a few holes in it so that the ice doesn't go inside and expand and crack the beam. Because that beam was put together by individual plates welded by Valley, and the welding is broken on 2 places. I'll send you photos of that breakage so you have it. So that's part of also what we'll be doing in the summer. And all the rest of those projects will be done in the summer as well. Any questions on the rest of it, summer maintenance?
And your Frechette update, Jack?
Well, I guess the only thing about the Frechette, I was just going to touch on a little more of what I said earlier today. It looks like we're in good shape. We had some, Sean did a snow thing up in the park. The snow is gone, more or less, out of what feeds our watershed. The water coming into and the Boneshire feeding into Round Lake has dropped. Hence, the water coming out of the park is therefore dropped. We can see that by Round Lake dropping and Golden Lake dropping. If we don't have an abundance of rain, I would suspect Sean will start putting logs in, like he said in his email earlier to this morning. That he'll be putting logs in probably in Tremor Dam. And once Golden Lake then drops below the limit, I expect him to be doing log operations in Golden Lake as well to get prepared for the summer water levels. So everything looks good.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Annette was right. I was wrong.
Anybody else have anything to discuss? No? So we'll set our next meeting date then for May the, who's got their calendar? What's the second meeting of the month? Council.
The 19th?
That when our next council meeting is, yes?
The next one is the 5th, but the second one in May
Yeah.
19th. Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll do it on the 19th then?
Okay. And I'll go ahead then and give Will the okay to start building the gates and stuff.
And this is just one quick question, like now this construction now, does this go outside of, if he's doing it at the dam, does that go outside of the provincial guidelines at this point in time, or are we okay? Is that deemed essential? I never looked into that part of it, guys. Because it is a construction project, right?
I mean, the permit for the water is one thing, but to do the construction, whether it's essential is a whole nother story. And Jack and I did have a discussion about that the other day. But I mean, I think that doesn't stop us from ordering the gates. And you're saying that that's going to be maybe July is the time period we're looking at,
That'd
Jack?
be the earliest, yeah, July, August timeframe.
No.
So if we can get it done by then, we will. If we can't, then we've got the gates and we're stuck till next year.
And absolutely anything that he's doing on his own site is out of our hands, and I really don't. Go ahead there, Brent.
Well, I was just gonna say, I'll make the case that we are an essential service all day long. If you guys want me to, I honestly think that we are an essential service, no matter who tells us. That's the thing. If hydro dams go down across the province, they need to get fixed. They need to get repaired. Very simple. So, I just get it and get it done.
Go ahead, Jen.
I think one of the benefits that this is a corporation within the corporation of the Township of Boneshire Valley, since we are an essential service, as in our governance, I would say that EGC would fall under that. And I would make that distinction all day long, that we're not private.
The only thing I'm worried about, guys, and I'm just preparing for backlash that we could see down. And no, if they could get at it right now and put it in, I'm all for it. That's it. The only thing is what I'm looking at is it's more of a maintenance upgrade to our system. It's not a repair to the actual dam. And that's the thing that we could get asked if somebody sees them working on it. Go ahead, Murph.
The way I view it, right now and for the next few months, we'll be at the fabrication stage. We won't be at the construction stage. They're fabricating it. We won't maybe get at the construction until summer. And hopefully it'll be all over by then.
Go ahead there, Brent.
Well, I was just gonna say, and also there's a case for health and safety for the catwalk across. Same as we have cracks from ice. We don't know what more ice damage there is from the upcoming winter as well. The potential. There's lots of cases and stuff. No, I think we're essential, and that's how we should always go.
No, I was just putting it out there to make sure that these questions are answered before we're asked by another entity.
And just to give
Before
you a
we're
follow-up-
asked by our residents.
And that's exactly right, guys. Go ahead, Jack.
Just to give you a follow-up, Will's place has been deemed an essential service, like,
Yep.
go and repair power dams, and he's deemed as essential service. That's why he's still up.
Good. Anything else for discussion on this, guys? No? Good. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
See y'all at 5:30.
See you at 5:30. Thanks. Motion by Merv and Merv. Second.
Whoever else wants to.
Thanks, Ken. See y'all later.